Hello and welcome to Karloc does some Minecraft science. Today we're doing automatic sheep farms. So basically a sheep, if we want its wool, we shear it and we get its wool. It's in there somewhere. There it is. Right, so the science behind it and how to make what I think is probably one of the most efficient farms. So here we are in Minecraft 1.14. The specific version I'm using here is 1.14.4. So, what do we need to know? Right, let's have a look. There's a sheep. So what we need is a grass block for our farm. We will then do something. That's it here. Put a sheep in there. And we can use this grass block to determine with this observer looking into it as to when something happens. So if I shear the sheep, when the sheep decides to eat the grass in a moment, come on sheepsy, he will eat the grass, which will trigger this observer, and we can use that to trigger a dispenser with shears in order to shear him. So come on, he will eventually. Come on, hurry up. Okay, while we wait for that, we'll go into our next cube on the left, and we have a dispenser there set up. Come on sheep, it's been awkward today. They vary how long they take, but normally they're not too bad for eating the grass, which will turn this into a dirt block, which will trigger this observer to give a redstone output. And he's been about the slowest I've ever seen in my life. Now I'm recording, because that's the way it works. Come on. And finally there he goes. And if you saw, it triggered the redstone. So basically when the grass gets eaten or the grass grows back, it will trigger a redstone signal. So we have a dispenser here with some shears in, and if we put a sheep in there, this is where we can automate it now. So if I trigger this manually, it will shear him. As you saw, he ate just after that and grew some more, and do it again, and then we get some wool off him. So how do we make this into a farm? We basically combine the two bits together. So we have, let's remove this block here, the observer looking at that piece of grass, redstone here into a dispenser with shears. So when we put a sheep in there, we will shear him just to get it going. Then when he starts to pick up that wool, when he eats the grass, he will grow his wool back, and it will trigger this dispenser to shear him straight away. And so all we really need to worry about is how to get the grass to go back as fast as possible, which I'll go into in a moment. What else do we need to look at is, in order to pick up the wool that lands where the sheep is, we need a hopper minecart on top of our rail tracks. Here we've just got it on a hopper. The hopper then goes here into a chest. So that's the basic components of the farm. They've been so slow at eating today, it's because I'm recording. Normally the grass growing back is the slowest bit, seemingly. But over time it works out pretty well. So some things we need to understand in order to do this is that's the basics of how we're going to do it. The next slightly tricky bit is how to get the grass to grow. So a couple of things about grass. Let's go down my hole. So here we have some grass underground where I'm controlling the lighting level. So for example, this would be lighting level 10, this will be 9, 8, 7, 6, blah blah blah. I made it with the wrong number there now. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, that's 4. Right, in order for grass to spread, the block with grass on needs to be a light level of 9 or above. So if I bring up the F3 screen, we can see here the 9 block is the light level. So this grass will spread, and it's spread here, and well, this is where I first planted it, this line here, and it's grown all the way that way, and it's grown 1 block here, because each time the grass moved, then if the line it was on was still at light level 9 or high, it would then spread again. There's a limited range which grass will spread. Now the wiki says that it has to be light level 4 or above to sustain grass, but I've got some here which is well below light level 4. I put this in manually obviously, and it's not turned back to dirt, which I think it used to, but for some reason it's not at the moment. And also here I've got a piece of grass which is within the spreadable region of that grass from block level 10 in fact, and it did jump to that one even though this one was at block level 0 for light level. Obviously this grass then won't spread any further because that's a bit about light level. The main thing is the source grass needs to be light level 9 or above. The rest of it doesn't overly matter, just interesting to do. So what else do we need to know about grass? Right, how will grass spread? Grass will spread in a 3x3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the range of grass from this piece here. So we're assuming this one is the grass. Now this will spread to anywhere in this block. I've sort of left it open so you can see. So that one will eventually move down here. It will go up 1 level and it will come down to any of these here. So here's some various testing things I did just to prove it all, of that this grass won't spread to anywhere because all the available blocks are outside of the range. And obviously if you've only got 1 block of source grass, then it will take a longer time to spread to this block down here. If the more source you have, each block of source grass has a chance to move or spread itself. So for example here, this 1 block spread down here, it did take some time. So that's basically how grass will spread. So we have to sort of go backwards from that to this will be the block here where the sheep will stand. So that's where the sheep will be, in there. So we want as many source blocks of grass around it that can spread. Yeah, so it's already gone back to grass because we've got here, I believe, the most possible blocks here that can spread grass to this point. So we've got these ones below it, these ones just above it, and then some up on the top here. If the sheep's in there, then obviously we'll surround him in glass or something to keep him in there. And you can have glass over grass and it will grow quite nicely. So this won't affect this and it will still carry on spreading. I've got lots of torches here, front and back, just to make sure that the light level of all these grass blocks are above 9. So this is the quickest way to get grass to grow there. And the faster we get grass to grow where the sheep's standing, the more wool we can get because he'll eat the grass quicker. So here are a bunch of farms, or a bunch of sort of cells. I've got them all together, and then here's a couple off separately to show how it's done. Right, so this is the sort of simplest one, where we have very slightly less available grass than I showed just there, because we need a dispenser, obviously, to shear the sheep. So we had to replace one bit of grass there, and we need an observer here to observe this. So this block here, which at the moment is dirt, but it can be anything really. It just can't be grass, because the grass will die underneath another block. So here we've got some torches around, the sort of minimal glass that we need, and a block here. It doesn't matter what block you've got above the dispenser, it's just a block. And because it's not grass, we can put a cheaper block in if we've got limited glass when we make one of these. So this is pretty much the least materials you can make one with. We have one, whatever one of those is called. My brain has gone. A hopper. So we have one hopper with a minecart on top of it, with a hopper minecart on into a barrel. Barrel's just slightly smaller. It will still work with a solid block on top, rather than a chest would work with glass, but not with a solid block on top. So that's why I've got the barrel here. So that's the sort of simplest and cheapest. We come straight out of the observer, block of pop of redstone here, which will trigger this, and then manually we can put up to 9 shears into the dispenser. The reason I have a button on is so I can manually trigger it, because it's just a little bit faster to start the farm off by shearing the sheep. That way, otherwise you just have an extra couple of ticks here to get going. So as you saw there, it grew back and it automatically sheared it straight away. Now, a slightly sort of better, depending on your point of view, is this design, where the front bit's pretty much the same, but the redstone's slightly differently around the back. And the reason is that this way we can have a chest, or multiple chests, multiple hoppers, feeding into the dispenser, meaning that we can load it up with hundreds of shears. Whereas this simple design over here, you can only fit 9 shears in. Now, in order to be the most efficient and leave the most grass and not cause any issues, we have to load in from the back of this dispenser. I'll show you some of the reasons why in a moment. And that means that the redstone changes slightly. We have the observer comes out into this block. The block, we then pick up the redstone from the block here, and then this feeds into this block of grass. This grass will then trigger that dispenser. So a little bit more redstone, but minimal. I just have buttons on here so I can trigger it manually to start off with, but the button isn't really needed. And the other thing I've got on this one, for example, is here is a switch, and the reason is that this will then turn it off. It will stop shearing. And the reason why you might want to stop shearing is if I want to change the color of this sheep to dye it blue or something, you can't color the sheep, you can't dye the sheep while it's not got any wool. So this way, when the grass grows back, when he eats again, he'll get his wool back, and then I could change his color. And whoa, if I can manage to go around, and here, so that I just break the block at the back or a piece of glass, depending if I've got silk touch and spare blocks, and just dye him a color, which I can probably do. Let's go for a purple. Come on. Okay, in a moment he will come back with his nice beautiful wool, because this is all locked up, so we can't shear anymore while it's locked. Let's have a look at some here examples of other ways to feed in to the dispenser. Right, so you can do this way, where you come in through have your chest of shears, come out through these beautiful hoppers into the next one, and then sideways into here. This does mean you have one less piece of grass in order to regrow the sheep grass. So the more grass you have, the better. It's as simple as that. I haven't got one here anymore, but if you come in at the top through to feed it like that, or yeah, you'd go in like this, wouldn't you, from the side at the back. To do this, you can get away with the minimal redstone like this, but some of the wool will get stuck because the hitbox of the hopper does not fill up the whole box, so you will lose some wool up there. So by doing this design over here, you are completely lossless and you have the most grass possible around it. So we can now dye him a different color, put the glass back, unlock that, shear him to get him going. So we should now have some purple wool, and it's all set to go as now a purple one. Obviously I could change the wool block in the back from white to purple to signify what color it is. So that pretty much is the sort of the simplest way. This one's with the most minimal glass that you need. This one's how I would prefer to do it, where I just protect all the grass with blocks of glass like so, and the top as well, and then got plenty of torch to keep it lit up. Then if you want lots of sheep, as you probably will want at least a few, you then just build them next together, so you have 3 from one and then 3 from the next. Obviously you could in effect remove a single line and have the one block closer, but that just means you have less source grass to spread to the dirt block, so it's less efficient in the time it takes to grow a grass. So I think that's about it as far as these things go. Relatively simple. Obviously this is bad just because you're going to lose wool, so we'll get rid of that. These levers are just sort of on here so I can stop them shearing if I want to change the colour of them. But I think this is the best. If you're more early game and desperately want to save your redstone, a couple of bits of dust, and you're only going to manually be putting 9 shears in each dispenser, then you can just keep doing this and stack them next to each other. Or if you think you might have loads, and you can load up double chests of shears and stuff, which will last quite considerable time, then you can do it this way. And obviously once you've got them pulled through the block out here, you can do however you like with sorting these, whether to send them into a system, whether to have loads of stacks of double chests, depending how long you're going to run. Obviously for here I've just got like a little glass floor because I need this light here to come and light up these blocks, so you would need to do that. Here I've got a solid floor, so I had to put the torches actually on the grass. So it's just understanding which way the light travels in order to light up the blocks, and because you could have 20, 30, 40, 50 of these in a row, this way it's just a sort of a stackable design. So yeah, and as you see, this has been running a while, but you do get quite a lot of wool. Oh yeah, one other thing that's important to know is the grass will only grow back if a player is within the area. So if I run away hundreds of blocks away, this will unload and the grass won't grow back. So there you have it, the ultimate automatic wool farm. Very simple to do, nice and easy. Obviously, a couple of other points are when you first build one of these, I will use glass, but you probably wouldn't. You can just sort of fence off an area and then drag your sheep into here, push them in, or try and coax them over with wheat and they'll just drop down the hole, get one at a time. Or you can use a water stream to push them in. There's lots of ways. It's relatively simple just to feed them in from the top. Okay, right, one more note on the grass is obviously it's simple. If you've got Silk Touch, you can pick up grass and place it. If you haven't, you're going to need to seed your grass by sort of finding a piece of grass and then building a long path. You'll have to make sure it's lit up, otherwise it won't spread. And obviously the narrower this is, the longer it will take, but it will eventually spread. And we can bring it over here, and this grass would eventually spread all the way along here to here. This would then jump to there, this one would jump to there, but it wouldn't jump to the top. If we seeded it this way instead, where is it, like this, then the grass could come along here. If we get enough single blocks, would spread here, 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 then eventually up to the top, and this would eventually spread. The more source blocks of grass and possible places, the faster it will spread, because each piece of grass tries to spread. It's not each block of dirt tries to grab grass, it's the other way around. So the more grass we have here, the faster it will spread. So yeah, if you're doing it without Silk Touch, if you don't start off in a grassy area, then it will take some time to spread. Obviously this one spread down because this was already grass, and as to show you, it hasn't spread very fast. It still hasn't even moved here, and I'm not going to stand around and watch it, but eventually it will spread. So that's a thing to watch out for, is how to get your grass there if you haven't got a Silk Touch. So Silk Touch makes it a lot easier, and if you just build this on the ground with this is the original grass outside, for instance, then it'll be relatively easy. And before you sheep it up, you could either use like a block of grass here like that to let this grass spread up. But yeah, grass spreading is another fun feature of its own, but it gets there eventually. It just takes a little while. So that's about it for how to make an automatic wool farm. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you liked it, please leave a like. Please remember to subscribe if you want to hear about when my new content's coming out, and also please comment below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.